The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Variety Channel. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericavariety.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101. We're so happy you joined us this week. Over the next hour, you'll learn the tips, tricks, and vital information that will help you keep yourself confident and safe. Now, here's your host, Susan Bartelstone.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101, the personal safety radio show with an optimistic perspective on a sober subject. I'm your host, Susan Bartelstone, and I'm so glad that you've joined me today and decided to hang out with me for a while, because it's always my great privilege to spend the next hour with you, helping you keep yourself safe. Now, I want to remind you, January is National Personal Self-Defense Awareness Month, and I did a wonderful show on self-defense last week, so if you missed it, you can still hear the podcast on my host page at voiceamerica.com. And January is also National Stalking Awareness Month, and I've got a few segments on stalking and cyber stalking coming up during the month. So you're going to want to be sure to stay tuned for that. Now, my first topic today really intrigued me. So I've got to ask you this question. Do you have a frustrated inner detective who'd love to solve cold murder cases or help grieving families find missing children? Well, millions of amateur sleuths are really out there solving actual crimes via the Internet. It's called web sleuthing, and it's been described as all the rage. One of the most important tools in the amateur's arsenal is a true crime website like websleuths.com. And first up today, we're going to be talking with Tricia Griffith, the owner of that website, about what web sleuthing is, how it got so popular, and what crimes have been solved by these dedicated amateurs. Then in my second segment, I'm going to talk about an email I got. You know, people email me for advice on all sorts of personal safety issues. And this person, she was someone whose abusive husband was sent away to a domestic violence counseling program, but he wants to come back home. And in her email, she asks me, how do you know if an abuser has changed? And that question struck me so strongly that I knew I had to address it on the show. So I've got Juan Ramos, who's the Senior Program Director of the Domestic Violence Accountability Program at Safe Horizon, and this is a huge victim service agency in New York City. And he's going to be here with me, and together we're going to address this question and talk about programs for batterers. I think you'll agree that I've got a unique and informative show for you today. So if you know someone who should be listening who might not be, why not send out a text message about us, send out an IM, hey, start tweeting if you're on Twitter, drag that person with you in front of the computer, anything, so that they can join us too. All right, now I want to introduce you to my first guest, Tricia Griffith from websleuths.com. Now, as a child, Tricia Griffith and her friends would play detective, trying to find all the criminals they knew were hiding somewhere in the neighborhood. She says that there's no record that they ever found any, but she'd been hooked on true crime ever since then. In 1997, Tricia ventured on the Internet for the first time, read about the John Benet Ramsey case, and found her true calling. She now owns and operates websleuths.com, one of the largest true crime discussion forums on the Internet, and she also owns something called forumsforjustice.org, which she's going to tell us about. She's also been working in radio for over 25 years, doing voiceover work and voice projects, and she says she shares her home with her 13-year-old son, 3 dogs, 11 finches, 8 parakeets, 1 fish, and 1 snake. She says in her spare time she sleeps, but I don't know, Tricia, with all that going on, I don't know how you can get any sleep at all.
Well, it is rare.
In any event, hey, welcome to Crime Prevention 101.
Thank you so much.
How do you sleep?
Thank you so much,
Finches
Susan.
are noisy, aren't they?
I don't sleep very much, well, I'll tell you that, and sometimes that shows by how I try and talk, but hopefully I've had enough sleep that I can be coherent today.
Okie dokie. Well, let's give it a try. All right, so let's start off. Let's talk about web sleuthing.
Okay.
Go into more detail about exactly what it is.
Well, web sleuthing is just basically anybody that has a computer access to the Internet, and they can find out about a case that they're interested in. And more than likely what they'll do is they'll go to a true crime discussion website, and that's where web sleuths comes in. And then they will find perhaps a discussion topic that of their choice, jump in, and start sleuthing. Now, when you say, Susan, solving cases, I can't really say 100% that we've actually had a couple of, really big cases that we've solved. That isn't really how it works. What happens is we just come in, find our favorite case, help with that case, sometimes get involved with the people in the case if they need help. The last thing we want to do is interfere with the police investigation. But I'll tell you this.
Oh, sure, sure.
Law enforcement is constantly on our site, and I'm in contact with several law enforcement agencies about a couple of cases right now where we, web sleuths, have really, really helped them and found out a lot of information that they didn't have. And the only way this is done is with a computer and public files. That's it. We don't have any special tools other than people's brains. And the people on web sleuths, they come from all over the world. They're everything from retired police detectives themselves, politicians, lawyers, doctors, to people like myself, stay-at-home mom, and everything in between. And that's the most interesting thing about web sleuths, the people, how they come together and how they focus on a case and help any way they can and make it interesting and sometimes fun, too.
So this is amazing to me. And how do you go about helping with the case? I mean, what kind of things do you look for when you're trying to help?
Well, when we first start out with a case, of course there's the high-profile cases, Kaylee Anthony, those type of cases that draw a lot of people. But then there's
I saw her picture on your website, too.
Right. There's a lot of smaller cases that nobody's heard of, like Joe Neff. He was murdered. His daughter came to our website and said, I need your help. Here is what we know. Help me think of something. Help me find out some clues. And so people are working with her to just brainstorm, basically. And then, like on the Kaylee Anthony case, we have a wonderful poster named Music Man who goes down to the courthouse, gets all the public documents he can, because Florida dumps a lot of documents because of their sunshine law, gets all the documents he can on the Kaylee Anthony case, uploads them for us, and then we take it apart and discuss it and find inconsistencies and things like that. And you have to remember, law enforcement, basically, they start out by looking at the clues just like we do. So we're like hundreds of thousands of fresh eyes every day looking at the clues. Now, we only look at, of course, what's available to the public, although occasionally we'll have an insider or somebody connected with the case come to us and offer us information that isn't available to the public to help us out. That does happen.
Will you, if someone becomes interested in a case, will you actually try to contact the person to find out if they'd like to? In other words,
no.
If it's a missing child.
Right. No. What we do is there are two ways we go about it, and I don't decide any of this. It's the members of Web Sleuths that do. They'll come on, and we have a whole bunch of different categories. Missing but not forgotten, cold cases, hot cases. They'll find a forum on our major forum that will fit what case they want to talk about. And then they'll just start talking about it and say, hey, come with me, I'm interested in this case. So that's one way we do it, just cold like that. The other way is a family member will come to us and say, we need your help. Mm-hmm. Now, we have a great, very dedicated group of people that try and find missing people and try and match them up with people who have been, unfortunately, left in a morgue and are unidentified. We've had several of those where members just on our forum were able to make a connection through pictures that they got from the morgue to pictures on, missing children's websites, and they were able to make the connection, and people and members of that person's family were able to bring their loved one home and bury them. We also try and help, and once again, when I say we, I'm talking about the members of websleuths. I just give them a place to go. We had a case recently. We had a case recently where one of our members found a young person on a social networking site that was missing, and this person was involved with a very scary individual, and because of what our person did on websleuths, the police were able to come in and rescue this young person. So it's, we do a lot of different things.
I call that solving a case.
Well, that's solving a case. That is solving a case.
Indeed.
You're absolutely right. But unfortunately on that case, we can't talk about any of the particulars because of the situation. And there's some of that we can't talk about because it endangers people, and we don't want to. That's the last thing we want to do. But again, I want to stress, we don't interfere. We don't call the police. Nothing. If something happens really big, that somebody's made a connection that nobody's ever thought of before, then they can email the police department involved and say, hey, look at this, But last thing we want to do is be considered nosy people with nothing better to do, because that's just exactly what we are not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see you have to really kind of tread a fine line there, because you really want to be taken seriously.
Absolutely.
You actually are making contributions.
Absolutely.
Have you heard of an organization called Crime Stoppers? Because I really need to put you guys in touch with each other.
I have. I don't know much about them, and I would love to learn more. Any help that we can get, we would appreciate. And would love to team up with anybody that wants to help.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about them, because I did a show about them recently. They are putting out something called cold case decks. Mm-hmm. And these are decks of cards which, in addition to having, aces, the spades and the hearts and everything, they have pictures of missing children, murders that were never solved, and these decks are given out to prisoners in various states that put them together. And it's the families and the police that put together these decks. And when the prisoners play cards with these decks, sometimes they come up with a clue. They've solved 20-year-old cases, and I'm going to make sure I put you in touch with my contact there.
That would be wonderful.
Because you guys really can help each other.
Love it.
We're going to take a quick pause. I've got more about web sleuthing coming up, and there is plenty of show left. So I want you all to start tweeting about us. And I want to remind you that now you can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook, and I would love to have you as a friend.
News, opinion, your voice counts. Call toll-free 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.crimeprevention101.com for more information.
Each week, take a visit inside the locker room of your favorite sport with Des Clark, Paul Fresh Clark, and Lester Scudder Davis as they bring you sportsmanlike conduct. As a current player, Des Clark can bring you inside the sports world like nobody can. His co-hosts represent the fans of the sports world. With both points of view on the table, it becomes an engaging and entertaining program, to say the least. Sportsmanlike Conduct can be heard Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Sports Channel.
Dialogue is the single most powerful leadership tool we have to make a difference in the world. Leading Conversations with host Cheryl Esposito creates a place for that dialogue. Tune into the Voice America Business Channel every Friday as Cheryl hosts new conversations among leaders from around the world in business, government, art, economics, and social change. We'll explore big ideas and everyday actions and learn how their own leadership has led them to discover a newfound sense of possibility in the world. Leading Conversations with Cheryl Esposito, bringing big thinkers together in conversations that make a difference, right here on the Voice America Business Channel every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Streaming live, the leader in Internet talk radio, voiceamerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Hi, Susan Bartelstone here. And if you're just tuning in, I'm speaking with Tricia Griffith from the web sleuths crime sleuthing community, websleuths.com, and that's where you're going to find out more information about her. And I'm going to link to her website from my blog site, crimeprevention101.com, and from there you can even share the program with people who might have missed it. We were talking about this amazing community that are actually trying to solve crimes, and I consider that they actually have found missing people. Tricia, about how many people do you think are involved in web sleuthing as a whole and on your forums particularly?
Well, I can really only speak to my forum, but I know there's millions. In my forum, we have over 20,000 members registered, and we always have more. We always have more guests on our board than we do members. So, every day we have tens of thousands of people that come by and read, and not necessarily join in. They just read every day to keep up. But I'm sure it's millions and millions. I have another forum, like you mentioned, forumsforjustice.org, where we deal mainly with the John Benet Ramsey case, and that's a whole other show. But let me tell you, that case isn't over yet. Don't let what the district attorney in Boulder, Colorado, saying about the Ramseys being cleared fool you, because they're not. So, forumsforjustice.org. If you're still interested in the John Benet Ramsey case, that's another forum I have. So it's everywhere. But the place to come to is websleuths.com, because we have such strong moderating. We don't allow any swearing. We don't allow any attacking. Nothing vulgar, and we're very tight on that. We kick people off all the time for that. So you can come on to our websleuths.com and have a safe, interesting place to post and to join in.
And by the way, that website has lots of crime prevention information on it.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
it's got Amber Alerts. What else? What else can people find on there besides the forums? Because it was just awesome looking.
Well, we can. There's a bunch of different things. We have something that we've set up because so many TV producers have called us for stories. We actually have a forum where people can come in and look to see what they're looking for, and if they have any stories, they can send it to the producer that's looking for it. 48 hours, Dateline, all of those, and then some. This is kind of funny because they'll write me and they'll say, "I can't tell you what show it is because I just can't. But we're looking for stories like this and this and this." And I think that's so funny because it's like, why can't you tell me what show it is? But anyway, we do have that. We have so many different things. Anything you want to find out about crime, you come in. If we don't have it, you can post and ask about it.
And you've got crime prevention information. You've got videos. I saw a very interesting video. Talk about some of the videos that you've posted.
Well, I think you're talking about the video on the front page that we have, and that was a news report, and actually we need to update that. That's been there for a little bit. But what we do, too, is we have a lot of video of the TV shows that are out there, that like the Nancy Grace Show. We put up the videos of all the big crime cases, in case you've missed it, from the local TV stations. We have one poster who is just amazing, who spends so much time making sure these videos are posted for us, so we can look at them and see what's going on. So anything of interest in the crime community, if we can find it, it will be posted.
Fantastic. Now, I did see that all these TV shows were coming to you. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen your ideas, theories that you proposed in TV shows about?
There's been a couple, and I apologize. I can't remember off the top of my head because there was one that was very, very touching. It was a cousin of a murder victim who came to us, and Dateline did a story, and it was very, very touching. But, sometimes that's just it. A lot of times we don't know. We'll point them in a direction, and then that's the last we hear of them. And then we'll see a show topic, and we'll think, oh, well, that's one from our website, but we can't say for sure if it came from WebSleuths. And let me tell you, there's still a bias out there about people who come and post on true crime forums, because there's still the bias that it's just a bunch of lonely, bored housewives with nothing better to do. And websleuths.com is working hard every day to change that perception and make it okay to say, yes, I got this from WebSleuths, or WebSleuths is helping me. They don't need to feel uncomfortable about it anymore, because we know what we're doing, we're really good at it, and we're not just in it just for giggles. We're in it because we're serious.
Well, I think the fact that you're there overseeing it, and hearing you speak and talking with me today does give me a lot of confidence in what's posted on the site.
Oh, thank you. And we try really hard, Susan. Let me just tell you real quickly. A lot of times we'll have people come on and they'll say, well, I'm the boyfriend of the murder victim, or I'm the mother of the murder victim. When that happens, I do my best to verify that they are who they say they are. Now, of course, it can happen. Somebody can slip through, and short of hiring a private detective, that all I can do is talk to them and try and verify. But we do that, and that's one of the things I think that separates us from all the other websites, is we really try to make sure that the information we're putting out there is correct.
Well, I think that's what's going to help you become accepted.
Thank you.
I think you're one of the, if not the largest, one of the largest web sleuths communities. So yes, I think that says a lot too.
I believe so, and it's privately owned. I'm the only owner. And, we don't have a TV network or a TV show backing us like some of the others, and we don't have, AOL backing us or anything. It's just little old me and the wonderful, incredible moderators.
No, I actually didn't know that. Do TV shows have their own web sleuthing community?
Yes, like True TV. They have an in-session show, and they also have a discussion board for that show. And, I'm trying to think of some other, a lot of them. I mean, you'll go on there, and they'll say, discuss the case, on our website or on our forum. And so a lot of them have forums, but we've just, WebSleuths started in 1999. I did not start it. I was offered the website in 2004. And when I took it over in 2004, it was a good website, but there were no rules about, vulgarness and attacking other people. And you get a bunch of people on a website talking, within minutes somebody's going to say something rude. And so, it took a while, but because of our moderators and how wonderful they are, we've been able to really tighten up WebSleuths, and that's when people really started to join, is when they knew, like I said earlier, that they had a safe place to come.
Interesting. Well, we have a little time, Tricia, so now I have to ask you. Forums for Justice is about the John Benet Ramsey case. So what is it about that case that has... And this when did this? This was years ago.
1996.
When was this? Why has this so captured you?
Well,
1996.
1996. Well, John Benet Ramsey.
And how many other people? I'm just curious. Also, has this case drawn? Forums for Justice.org.
Right. Now, that is one forum where we have actively been involved with certain aspects of the case, not the actual investigation, but again, that's a whole other show. But JonBenet Ramsey, she was murdered December 25th, 26th in her home, and JonBenet's case was the first case where you were able to go to the internet to find out information. So number one, I think that's a big part of it. And here we had, for the first time, America was seeing little girls dressed up to look like streetwalkers. Most of us had never seen anything like that. That's why it was so shocking.
Shocking.
And then you had the parents' behavior, their money, the Boulder District Attorney's Office, which was just so unbelievably lame. I mean, you had all these aspects, and it still goes on today. I mean, the case is not over by any means. The current district attorney has refused to comment either way on whether the Ramseys are cleared or not. Mary Lacy, the former district attorney, before she left office, that's exactly what she did. She said the Ramseys are cleared. What people don't realize is before she was district attorney, she stood up in a meeting and said, I don't believe the Ramseys did it. I don't think Patsy's guilty. And this was before she even knew all the evidence. And Mary Lacy is book smart, but really dumb. I mean, she can get a law degree and run, but she's just I shake my head at what she does. So the JonBenet Ramsey case is not over by any means. It's a cold case, but a lot of people think it's been put to bed because of the DNA, and that is just not the case.
And let's just refresh people's memory very quickly. This little girl was actually murdered in the house.
She was in the house.
Correct?
Yes. She was found in her basement in a very, very small room. You'd have to know where that room is to get there. There was a 3-page ransom note written in on Patsy's tablet of paper with her pen, and pretty much matches her handwriting. You don't even need to be an expert to see how it matches her handwriting. And she was found in this room with a rope around her neck. She was wrapped in her favorite blanket. She had her favorite doll. She had a favorite doll in there. Patsy's fibers from her jacket were found intertwined in the rope. I mean, there's so many things that people just forget about because you hear the word DNA and you think, oh, that's it. That's not it. So she was found there, 3-page ransom note. The theory that a lot of people have, and I have no idea if this is it, that somehow Patsy became angry with JonBenet, hit her or slammed her head against the bathtub or something like that and accidentally killed her. Now, that's one of the theories. There's a million others. But I can, if somebody put a gun to my head and said, you have to figure out whether there was an intruder or not, I would absolutely not hesitate and say there was no intruder. It was somebody in that house that night that did it, that killed JonBenet. I think it was an accident.
That's certainly the most logical scenario, truthfully. It is. But I know there was all sorts of interesting little wrinkles in this. The inefficiency of the police department, and kind of the botching up of all sorts of things.
It was the perfect storm
of
bad everything. Everything that could happen, bad did.
Makes it intriguing.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up, and if you out there listening feel you might be able to contribute to the JonBenet Ramsey case or any other case that catches your interest, I want you to check out Tricia Griffith's websleuths.com. Tricia, thank you so much for being with me today. This was really fascinating, and maybe I'll chime in with my 2 cents one of these days on this.
Thank you, Susan. We'd love to have you. And I would encourage anybody with any missing family members or loved ones to come to our forum, and we'll see what we can do to help. And everybody is welcome. Everybody has something to offer. I don't care who you are, websleuths.com or forumsforjustice.org. We would love you to come on over.
Absolutely. I'm going to be there too, Tricia.
Great.
Thank you again. All right. Now, when we come back, I'm going to answer the question, how do you know if an abuser has really changed?
Talk. That's all we do is talk.
Yeah!
If you'd like to talk, call us toll-free right now at 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787.
That's it.
VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.crimeprevention101.com for more information.
Are you destined to be an everyday change agent in your organization, your relationships, your community? Learn how to become one when you tune in to The Change Agent on the Voice America Variety Channel. Justin A. Flunder, the Chief Change Agent leader of the Flundonian Group, will help you examine every aspect of your personal and professional life. By observing your own thoughts, words, and actions, you will become the everyday leader that you are meant to be. The Change Agent airs live Thursdays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on Voice America Variety.
Hawaii is viewed by many as one of the most beautiful places in the world to visit. The island paradise ranks second in a recent Best Places to Live poll. 7 million annual visitors can't be wrong. Now bring a little aloha to your life each week by tuning in to From Hawaii with Love, featuring Joy Curdy and Jenny Fujita. You'll get a new perspective of life in the islands from those who live there and get a behind-the-scenes look at customs and traditions. Tune in every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern on the Voice America Variety Channel. Mahalo. The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
This is Crime Prevention 101. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And don't forget that we also have a website, crimeprevention101.com, where you can get more information about show topics and the resources that are mentioned on the shows. So make sure that you check it out. Now, my second segment, I'm going to be talking about how you know if an abuser has changed. And I'm going to introduce my guest. With me here to help me answer that question is Juan Ramos. And Juan is the Senior Program Director of the Domestic Violence Accountability Program. And this is often what we used to call a Batterers group. And he runs this program for Safe Horizon, the nation's leading victim assistance organization, which has more than 80 programs located throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City. In 2008, he was chosen as one of the most influential men in the Latino community in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area by El Diario La Prensa, and Juan will correct me if I mispronounce that. And El Diario is one of the largest Latino newspapers in the country. He was honored for his work as a domestic violence community educator and an advocate for human rights and anti-sexism. Wow. Juan, welcome to Crime Prevention 101.
Thank you, Susan. Pleasure.
It is so, and I've been trying to catch up with you forever, so I'm totally delighted to have you with me today.
Thank you.
Now, Juan, I've already forwarded this email to you, but I want to read this email for my audience. This is an email that was sent to me through a forum that I host on womanfavors.com. It's one of the ways that people email me and ask for help with personal safety problems. And what she said is this: so how do you know an abuser has changed? My husband was sentenced to 52 weeks of domestic violence counseling and alcohol recovery. He wants to come home with me and live with me and our 2 children while he completes his required therapy, but I don't think this is a good idea. He has his mom and his buddies pressuring me, telling everyone how unfairly I'm treating him, and for this reason, I don't trust him. When will I know that he's changed for sure? And Juan, I know that there are thousands, maybe millions of domestic violence victims who have asked that same question. So let's talk a little bit about the Domestic Violence Accountability Group and how it works before we talk about how we know there's a change has occurred.
Right. Well, our program, the Domestic Violence Accountability Program, as you said, runs in Safe Horizon, which, again, is one of the leading victim assistance agencies in the country. And basically, our program deals with men at the point that they've already been arrested for a domestic violence offense. And they're sent to our program.
Does that sound like this woman's
Absolutely,
husband?
It does. Okay. And our program...
Okay, so after they've been arrested, then how are they mandated by the court to your program, or?
Exactly. They're mandated through the court to attend our program, which is actually not 52 weeks, it's 26 weeks. And they're supposed to complete this program in order to fulfill their disposition for the court.
Okay, and what level of domestic violence would come into this program? Because obviously not everybody is appropriate, correct?
Absolutely. And we have men come through our what we call registration phase, where they're sent to us through the court, and we interview them to see whether or not they're appropriate for the program. And the majority of the men who are sent to us are always appropriate because, again, our belief is that, outside of their relationship, they're very well-behaved men. They're able to, interact with others without any form of abuse or any form of disrespect. That most of the men who come to our program and that we work with are violent only and abusive only to that intimate partner, that is selective to that individual that they're in a relationship with.
Okay. And then give me an idea of how it works. Is it once a week? Is it 1 hour?
The program, again, men come to the program for 6 months. They come to the program once a week for an hour and 15 minutes. During that hour and 15 minutes, what we do is bring different information from our curriculum, which is basically talking to the historical perspectives and ways that men impact their own families within domestic violence when they choose to abuse, and also providing them challenges on how to end that. We don't necessarily say that men change or that they don't change. But what we say is that our program doesn't intend to change them. We intend to service the court as they respond to the issue of domestic violence on a bigger community issue, leading to that community coordinated response, where we believe everyone in the community needs to play an active role in challenging men and their beliefs in order to then lead into that change that men can make.
How does the community participate in this? How would that work?
One of the ways that we do it is that, and I believe any responsible Batterer program should operate, is that we always check in with our local battered women advocates to see whether or not the information that we're providing regarding domestic violence and the role that men play in that, how they affect their families, that information is always accurate and is up to date, and that it reflects what the community is experiencing. And that we always need to be in constant contact with our advocates, with our coalitions, to make sure that the work we're doing doesn't in any way take away from the leadership that the advocates have provided for us for many years, or take away from anything that, or make any situation much more dangerous than it already is for women. So that's why we provide more of an education on domestic violence to men. One of the things we can do is speak to men about why it is that you find yourself in the court system. There was a time where, domestic violence offenses weren't prosecuted in the way that they were in the criminal justice system, because this was supposed to be, a situation between man and wife, and no one should get
Mm-hmm.
involved. That's changed a lot since then. And that's the reason why
are these referrals coming from family court, Juan, or do you deal with criminal court as well?
We get the majority through criminal court. Some come through family court. Some come through ACS workers who are dealing with men, or other agencies that are working with men as a part of a family dynamic. But we receive referrals from multiple.
That's a bit of a change.
I'm sorry?
That's a bit of a change right there, because back in, not that long ago, almost routinely, these cases were only handled through family court.
Exactly.
So that means if a person, I'm sorry, what I was going to say, Ron, is that means if the person doesn't fulfill their 26 weeks, they have to go back to criminal court with the possibility of a criminal charge against them?
Right. Well, they'll be charged with not fulfilling the disposition that they agreed to. But in any case that we receive, family court or ACS, anyone, there has to be some accountability to it, where if they don't complete the program, then there has to be a consequence to that. And that's how we agree to accept referrals from different agencies and different court systems, and even probation and parole, that there has to be a consequence in place. What would the consequence be if they don't fulfill this? Would it be jail? It could be a range of things. Some men are facing jail. Some men, I hate to say, may be facing just a re-referral to a program, because we know that sometimes domestic violence cases, it doesn't lead to incarceration. And some men may come through in order to see their children, and because they don't fulfill that expectation for ACS workers or maybe the family court, that they're held up a little longer and told that they have to take it a little bit more serious. But there's always a consequence attached to it, and we believe that that's when men get the signal that, okay, we're dealing with a serious issue here. This is not just something that I did and I get away with. That there's more of an accountability now in place to deal with those situations.
All right. So now they come to you for what? Is it an hour a week?
An hour and 15 minutes, and they have to pay for that hour and 15 minutes. That's part of the accountability, that they pay for the program.
How much do they have to pay?
Our program right now is $50 a session. There are programs that are higher than that, some that are maybe less than that because they accept insurance and different things. But any program.
What if someone didn't have?
We work on a sliding scale with men, based on their situation as well. So we understand that there are different men coming in on different income levels, different situations. So we do work with them on a sliding scale, but no man comes in to the program for free.
I see. Okay. And like this woman's husband, are they removed from the home for that 26 weeks?
Some
are. Or are they mostly in?
Some men are removed from the home through the orders of protection and are asked not to violate those orders of protection, so they're expected to stay away from the home. Others may have a limited order where they're still at home and expected not to reoffend or be abusive. There are a range of different situations. So I can clearly understand where her email question was leading, because we do hear that a lot.
Mm-hmm. All right, now let's take a pause here quickly. I want to tell everyone this is Crime Prevention 101, and we're going to have more discussion about domestic violence accountability in just a few seconds, so don't even blink.
Talk, talk, talk. That's all we do is talk. If you'd like to talk, call us toll-free right now at 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787.
That's it.
VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters behaviors can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime, How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.crimeprevention101.com for more information.
Do you need directions to solid financial future? If so, the Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman will provide you with a roadmap to making smart money decisions in every area of your personal finances. Join Jordan every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern for the Money Answer Show on the Voice America Business Channel. Learn how and where to get the best deals on mortgages, cars, and insurance. Find out the best ways to save for college and retirement. Get out of debt, improve your credit rating, and save on your taxes. The Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman will provide you with great tips on investment opportunities in real estate, stocks, annuities, and other investment vehicles. That's the Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman on the Voice America Business Channel every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Everyone is unique in their health as well as their illness. Therefore, achieving optimal health is a personal journey. Join host Pamela Hyen for Creating Your Healthy Life, a program made to educate, encourage, and empower you on your personal journey. Pamela and her guests will explore the who, what, and why of alternative health and many more subjects of interest. Listen for Creating Your Healthy Life, Thursday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel.
Stimulating talk gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The #1 Internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
This is Susan Bartelstone, Crime Prevention 101, and I just want to remind you that Crime Prevention 101 is available on iTunes. You don't even have to be at your computer to listen. And I've been talking with Juan Ramos, head of the Domestic Violence Accountability Program at Safe Horizon, which deals with domestic violence accountability. And I want you to make sure you check out www.safehorizon.org, their overall website, because there is so much really vital information about getting help for domestic violence, addressing other kinds of crime and abuse. There's information about immigrant and refugee problems, sex trafficking, helping kids, even if you're not in the New York City area. There's a tremendous amount of information that will be helpful on the website. I want one quick question that I wanted to talk to you, and then let's address this woman's email. If there's alcohol present in the mix, as this woman's husband had, is that addressed in the accountability group, or would that be done separately?
It's always best to seek, if the person is considered an alcoholic, to seek an alcohol abuse program. But we do address it, and one of the reasons we address it is because most men tend to use that as a justification for their, why they lost it or why they were abusive that particular time. But what we say is that the abuse is there regardless of the alcohol. The alcohol only makes it louder and it makes it more visible. And most men tend to use it as a tactic because it's something that they can then say, well, it wasn't me, it was the alcohol. But the underlying feelings regarding what he was arguing about or why he was fighting that particular night are still there past the alcohol. And I think we need to really look at that, because there's always a justification, well, he was drunk, he was drinking. But chances are that he still has the same feelings he has about who she is in that relationship in comparison to him, and why he needs to do what he does in order to gain control of that relationship.
Very good one, absolutely. All right, so what would you tell this woman? How do you know if an abuser has changed?
I would say to her that the mere fact that she actually said in her email that she didn't think it was a good idea, that's the best advice that she can give herself and get from anyone, because she knows him best. And I say that because we sometimes think that domestic violence programs like mine and others are there to change men. But the reality is that change depends on that individual if he wants to make change and challenge himself to be, a more productive part of his relationship. And that it really, 26 weeks, 52 weeks is really a drop in the bucket compared to how we've been socialized as men to interact with our female intimate partners in relationships. And that 52 weeks and 26 weeks doesn't challenge that. It begins to challenge it, but is nowhere near where it should be. This is more of a community and society issue where we need to be thinking about this even before a man is arrested for domestic violence offenses. We need to think about preventive measures. I'll give you an example. Safe Horizon has now in middle schools and high schools relationship abuse programs where they speak to young men and women about challenges in relationships and how not to be abusive and things of that nature. So we need to be thinking about things like that before they're arrested. However,
you're involved with that.
Absolutely.
You're involved with that effort too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we've recently done a pilot program where our program in particular went out and mentored young men in schools to talk about the type of work we do with men and what we believe needs to be done before men reach that level of being arrested in domestic violence offenses. But the other thing that I wanted to say is that the person who sent you the email should really think about, and most women should think about, planning for the man they know him to be and not the man they hope him to be. And that'll be the biggest way to stay safe. And again, one of the things that we as men sometimes do not do is take the opportunity to see how we've impacted someone else, and that the ball is really in that person's court to decide when they get over or when they can forgive, because we're not the ones that were impacted by what we committed against them. That we really need to, as men, allow that room for that person to heal in the way they need to, move on in the way they need to. The mere fact that their phone calls coming to her saying that she's treating him unfairly or pressuring her or she's feeling pressured, that, sometimes that could be a sign of tactics, and that we really need to remain safe at all times and consider her safety first. And that's just a piece of advice that I say to any woman that I speak to. I go out sometimes and speak to staff at shelters who want to know the type of work we do, and I say the same thing to them. A man who's going through a program is not necessarily a man who's going to make that change. We don't even know if the guy you're talking to on the phone right now, me, I could be saying all these beautiful things, but you don't know who I am at home. That we have to constantly plan for the man that we know he is, not the man we hope him to be.
That's an excellent point, and I also loved what you said about following her instincts, because that's what I tell people all the time. And my suggestion to her was that she should reach out to a professional organization in her local area. And if she doesn't know one, there's the domestic violence hotline that maybe can refer her to one, because they'll be able to be impartial about the facts of this case and helping her process her thoughts. And if she does decide to take him home back, she needs to have a safety plan in place in case the worst-case scenario, does reoccur and the abuse starts again.
And you said you made a good point, because one of the things we recommend is that men and women, while they've gone through domestic violence incidents, that they get help individually, because individually they've experienced that relationship in different ways. And that after that point, that if they consider getting together, that it's after that they've received individual help for one another.
Exactly. And the other thing, Juan, that I would add to her, I'd like him to be attending Alcohol Anonymous, which requires weekly meetings, sometimes several times a week, and that he be sober for at least 6 months before he comes home.
Well, again, it goes back to him having to address his own personal issues, and that the only way to really measure change is by a person's actions. So she shouldn't be feeling pressured by him. She should be seeing changes he's making without, telling her, I'm changing, you need to come back.
Exactly.
So, and again, she said it best herself when she said, I don't think this is a good idea. So that itself leads me to believe that she still has some reservations about, is he actually changing? And that helps her plan, and keep herself safe.
Absolutely perfect. Well, Juan, I can't believe it. The time has absolutely flown by.
Yes, it has.
I thank you so much for being with me today.
I thank you.
Now, I'm going to put... Oh, my pleasure. We're going to talk more off the air, okay?
Okay, great.
Now, I'm putting links to all my guests on my Voice America host page and my crimeprevention101.com website. So if you want more information about this topic today, you're going to be able to find it there. And you'll be able to find safehorizon.org if you have any questions for Juan. And that is a wrap for now, but never fear, because you and I will be doing this again next week, same time, same channel. And I'm going to be talking with a crime victim who went on to triumph and is helping others do the same, working with a group called Men Stopping Violence. Juan may want to know about them. And we're also going to be doing more about cyber stalking, which is a horrible new wrinkle in stalking. So you know what? It would be a crime not to listen. So stay tuned and stay safe.
We hope you got some useful information and inspiration this week on Crime Prevention 101. Susan Bartelstone invites you to join us again next Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on Voice America. If you want to learn more about Susan's guest, sign up for her newsletter, or find out about upcoming teleseminars and workshops, go to www.crimeprevention101.com today. Have a great week and a safe week.
Thanks again for listening to the preceding program, brought to you on the Voice America Variety Channel. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericavariety.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the preceding program are strictly those of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.